Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, whatever it is, wherever you're watching this video. But we are going to go over the last type of problem with stoichiometry that I'm going to teach you. That's right, we're still on stoichiometry. We're going to look at the long one, the difficult one, the one that's going to make you quake in your boots. That's right, we are going to look at grams of one compound or molecule to grams of another. Alright, usually this is one that students are like, oh no, I don't feel like doing this, and then they write it, and it's half their page long. Well, we're going to look at it and slowly go over how to do it. Alright, so very first thing that we need to look at is the general equation right here. Grams of one compound to grams of another. Okay, so we always start off with our given, that's from our question. Okay, it will be right there in the little word problem. And then we're going to multiply it by 1 mole over the molar mass. Now, that's how we go from grams to moles, is we times it by 1 mole divided by the molar mass. That's the molar mass ratio. We're simply dividing by the molar mass to figure out how many moles. Okay, then the next part is our wonderful mole ratio. All right, the mole ratio, we've seen this before. We know that these are the coefficients from the equation itself, which is why we need to know the balanced equation. So we could look up these coefficients. The top one is always the unknown. The bottom one is the coefficient for the given. And then lastly, we're going to multiply it by the molar mass of the unknown element so we could get it into grams. All right, that's over 1 mole. All right, so if you follow this, all right, we just plug and chug, okay? Eventually, over time, you might get to the point where you memorize these and you just know the math. But it's okay when you're just starting out and learning these that you could cheat and look at this basic structure. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at one example. And just like I said on the last video, the very first thing you should do when you get these problems is to underline what you got and what you're looking for. So it says how many grams of nitrogen gas are present in 85 grams of NH3. Alright, so first I'm going to underline my given, which is 65 grams of NH3. I know it's my given because I gave you a number in the problem. And then that means the other unit that you see, grams of N2, is my unknown. And we know this by the fact that it says how many is this, because it's asking about it. So I have my given and my unknown. Alright, so if you look at that, I'm starting with grams and I'm going with 2 grams. So I'm going grams to grams. So yes, that is a type 4 problem. Alright, so now we could work this out with our basic structure. So if you look at the very first thing right here, it says the given grams in question. That is the number that you see. So I see 85 grams of NH3. Alright, and then that is done. I'm going to multiply it by the first ratio that I see. This is my first ratio. Now, if you want to go ahead and not do what I do right there and put that times sign instead, go with this little railroad track sign, that's fine. But whatever you do that helps you get the math. Okay, but we are going to be looking at this, and we could look at the top and see it says 1 mole of the given element. Okay, well, that is simply 1 mole. And then the given was NH3. It says 1 mole for a reason. You write down 1 mole. Alright, and then the next part of it says, hey, we're going to divide by the molar mass of the given element or compound. So, we got to do a little bit of work. We got to figure out what the molar mass of NH3 is. So, that is 14.01. And we're going to add 3 H's. So, that's 1.01 times 3. So, that's 3.03. So added together, it is 17.04 grams. That is my molar mass for NH3. Alright, so down here at the bottom, we'll put 17.04 grams NH3. Okay, so now I've got that. I've got those. Now I'm going to go ahead and then write down our next one, which is the coefficients. Alright, so now we get to look at our problem, our word problem, and look at the coefficients. The first one, the one on top right here, is my coefficient of my unknown. My unknown N2. So I'll look in the word problem, the reaction, the equation, and I'll look what the coefficient is in front of that N2. And I can see that it is no coefficient, so that is simply 1 mole. Because when it is blank, that is the same thing as saying 1. So I'm going to put the N2 there so I stay organized. Alright, so now I'm going to look at my bottom coefficient. It's the mole of given element in the equation. My given, if we look at it, is NH3. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and look at my NH3. In the problem, NH3 does have a coefficient in front of it. It is 2 moles of NH3. Okay, and I'm not done yet. That's right, we keep going. I have that done of my basic equation. Now I'm on to the last one, and it is when we multiply by the molar mass to get this back in grams. Okay, so the top number, if we look right there, it is talking about the molar mass of the unknown element. I know that my unknown element is N2, which is an easy one to calculate for molar mass, the molar mass in grams. There's 2 N's, so you add those together, you get 28.02 grams of N2 per every 1 mole of N2. So now we need to calculate, just to make sure that our units are going to go the right place. I can see that grams NH3 is right there, grams NH3 is right there, moles NH3, moles NH3, moles N2, moles N2. So my answer is going to be left in grams of N2, which is what I want. So I'm going to calculate this. Okay, the answer is 69.89. And this is going to be grams of N2. Phew, that's a long one, isn't it? Alright, but if you follow this basic structure and knock out the things that you don't need, you will be left with what you do, and you will have the right answer. Alright, well, go ahead and practice some more problems, look over it, think about what you do know and what you don't know, and ask for help. Alright, see ya, good luck.